Hey listeners, powered up by Mazergroup, this is the Turnin Dirt podcast. I'm your host, John Mazer. Hi Trisha.
Hi John.
Great to see you.
Likewise.
I'm really glad this worked out. You happen to be in Regina right now for some strategy meetings. I'm not sure, are we calling them that, strategy meetings? Okay, perfect, right on. So I really appreciate you being a very avid and supportive listener to the podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the fact as soon as I saw that you were here and spending the night, well, obviously I texted you yesterday. I was like, oh, you want to do an episode tomorrow? It's awesome. So thank you very much for being here.
Sure.
Trisha, you are Director of Parts and Service. We just had a discussion. There's no title on the back of that. You oversee a block of dealerships. Call it Mazergroup Central, but Manitoba West.
Correct.
Can you give me the locations?
I sure can. So currently, I work with Swan River, Roblin, Dauphin, Shoal Lake, Hartney, and Killarney.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So that keeps you busy.
Very.
You mentioned Hartney in there, which is where you were born, correct? Or were you not born there?
Well, I was born in Surrey, but yes, hometown, Hartney, Manitoba.
Hartney, Manitoba.
Yeah.
So for our listeners out there, Hartney, Manitoba was Mazergroup's first expansion dealership. It was the second of what is now 18. It happened in 1994.
Correct.
The managing partners there were Bruce Evans and Dennis White. Mm-hmm. Bruce Evans is the father of Trisha. The role was split there. I guess Dennis was more looking after service.
Yeah.
And Papa Bear was looking after sales.
Well, at the time, actually, he was the parts manager.
Bruce was?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, he was the parts manager back in 1993, I guess, when
93, yeah.
the deal all sort of came about.
Yeah, falling into place.
And officially January 1st of 1994, the first addition to what is now Mazergroup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there wasn't the RG Mazer Group then either.
No.
It was just the dealership name. So there was Mazer Implements in Brandon and Atkinson Implements in Hartney.
Yeah.
So your roots obviously go way back in the industry and within the company. Where did life start for you in the dealership?
Wow. Great question. So if I just roll it back a little bit, my family's not originally from Hartney.
Okay.
But in 1982, Reg Atkinson, who was the owner-operator of Atkinson Implements, Dad says he took a flyer on a guy who he didn't know anything about and hired him as a parts guy in Hartney. And they were living in Elgin at the time, which is just a few miles up the road. And so it was August of 1982. They picked up their mobile trailer. I think they towed it there behind a four-wheel drive tractor or one of the semis by chance to Hartney. And I think Reg was the mayor of the town at the time too. And he knew because the next morning, Mom and Dad woke up and there was pavement being laid for the road in front of the house.
No way.
So they moved the house in the night before. It was in August of 82. I was born in February 83. And my dad was the parts guy through and through. And so I remember as a kid, if we wanted to see Dad, we had to go to the shop, right? Yep. We took him his meals, whatever the case may be. And so my sister and I always joke, my first job at Mazergroup was filling the pop machine.
Really?
Because I'd go to visit my dad, and there was a sales guy there at the time. His name was Gerald. He would, he'd see us come in and he'd be happy to see us. And Kim and I, we would stand up on the chair and we'd be filling the Coke machine. And then at the end, they'd close the door and they'd give us a loonie and we would get to buy a pop. And so technically I was being paid to fill the pop machine, if you go with that. But I didn't actually work at the dealership. I always swore I wouldn't. There were a few times, we would answer the phone on the weekend or something like that. And we had a couple customers say, man, your receptionists are sounding really young. I mean, we were 12, right? And we just happened to be there, so we were answering the phone. But I didn't actually start. Oh, sorry. I didn't actually start until 2006.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So so that was obviously 12 years into the into the acquisition. So in 2006, was it as a Hartney based position?
Yes. So what had happened was went away to university. I had all these dreams of doing all these great things. I graduated and my dad called me up. He said, Trisha, you haven't found a full-time job yet. because I was at the University of Manitoba, and Winnipeg, you kind of had to know who you had to know, right?
Yeah.
Especially I went to school for Bachelor of Commerce. And so if you didn't know somebody downtown Winnipeg, you weren't getting a job right away. So he called me up. He said, I need an office manager. The one we've got is retiring. It's a great opportunity. You can move home. You can save some money on rent. You can start to pay those loans back quick. Would you give it a shot? Just for a little while even. Yeah. I said, well, I don't. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'll give it a try.
He sold you.
He sold me on it. And so I came, and it was January 30th, 2006. I remember it. And I started, and I didn't know anything.
No.
Right? And I was like, hey, I remember I came home. It was the second day, and I said, Dad, you got to teach me how to speak farmer. And he laughed.
Tell me the lingo.
He said, what are you talking about?
So now you're bilingual.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
English and farmer.
He laughed at me. And my older brother, who still works at the dealership in Hartney there too, they both laughed. And they, what are you talking about? I said, well, these guys are calling, and they're saying things like, I need to ask about my hay bind, my mower conditioner, my disc bind. I said, I don't know what this stuff is.
Or MOCO.
MOCO, yeah. And I don't know what this stuff is. Because I'm not a farm kid, right? Like, I grew up in a small town, and I appreciated farms, but I'm not a farm kid. Yeah. And they started laughing. They're like, well, they kind of all do the same thing. And I said, oh my God.
Oh, now you're really confusing me.
Like, this was before you could go and Google and look at YouTube videos or anything like that. So, yeah, to say that it was overwhelming was an understatement for a while. But yeah, I caught on. Yeah. So I was in the office there for a couple of years, and that was the transition from Atkinson Implements, a part of the RG Mazergroup, to rebranding under the Mazergroup name. So I lived through that.
Yeah. It was 2009, I believe.
2009, yeah. So I definitely lived through that. And, from a different aspect, because I was an employee at that time, but I was also the daughter of someone who was a longtime employee, had personal connections, shareholder, all of those things. So I was getting every aspect you could possibly get out of it. But yeah, that was kind of my start.
That's the start. So it wasn't until that surprises me, because I thought you'd be more at the dealership, like at the dealership more as a young kid as I was. But yeah, sometimes your path just doesn't go that way. No. Well, I mean, your path didn't. Yeah. My path, like I was there doing God knows what, driving around golf carts, as we talked about in an episode with my brother. Getting into trouble.
Buying an air compressor grinder.
Yeah, the die grinder, the Mac tools. I don't know. What was it? What were we thinking?
Well, we were playing a little bit, like especially on the weekends, if we had to go, we'd go with Dad, and we'd get the slides out, and we'd go with a big fish machine, right, in the parts, and put bugs under it. I'm sure you guys did that too.
We did that all the time.
Look at things and probably mess things up for them, with the nuts and bolts and things like that. And I probably counted inventory once or twice and didn't even know it. My dad probably made a game of it. But I always swore I would never work there, right? My older brother, Keith, he's the parts manager in Hartney right now. Yeah. He started when he was 12 years old working there, right? Like, I don't know anybody who's worked for Mazergroup for 34 years and started when they were 12. But I checked this morning, like I fact checked.
He's on the payroll at 12.
On the payroll at 12, right? And so,
really?
This is your family business, but in a sense, it's my family business too.
Of course it is,
my oldest brother, Darwin, he was the one who wired in the internet for the first computers at Atkinson Implements.
No way.
Yeah, when they opened up the wall during renovations, he'd written his name on the wall. Yeah. My younger sister, she probably answered the phone and did some reception stuff from time to time. And my mother, while she never worked there, I mean, our entire family's life kind of revolved around the dealership. So in a way, like, she's, invested in that too. So, on. It's your family business, but I feel it's my family business.
It is your family business. Yeah. Like that's all. Like, I mean, even if they weren't working there directly, like you said, your older brother, like, maybe he was working there, but like wired in, like, we're talking like for the first computers.
Oh,
like that's going deep. I saw a picture of Pops the other day sitting at his desk with no computer. Like, what the fuck did they do all day?
They had the cards, right? They had the cards where they would handwrite all the costs on and then get the eraser out.
The cards, that's right. You're exactly right.
Yeah. It was amazing how the older generation developed personalities.
That's right.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Really. Yeah. But like, you're exactly. Everything was done manually. Like, I mean, every inventory was sorted and accounted for in like these little drawers, like the infamous drawers in Blake's office or wherever they ended up. They were in Dad's office and Dale's office, and At any rate, yeah. So much technology advances, as does a dealership like us or a dealership complex like us. Yeah, yeah. So 2006, you started. There was a move to Brandon.
Yeah, but before that, there was a move into service.
Tell me all about it. Yeah.
So I started in the office, doing the accounting things, payroll, everything, you name it. And then I remember it was by chance, I was on vacation in Ottawa visiting my oldest brother. And my dad called and he said, the service manager quit.
It's always the call from dad, eh? Like, he got you.
Dad. It was in August, right?
Yeah.
Service manager quit. I'm like, of course she did.
Yeah.
So we're going to need you to help out. I said, well, what do I know about service?
Yeah.
I learned how to speak farmer.
Yeah.
But what do I know, right? And so he said, well, we're going into harvest. We got to figure this out. So I got home and we had a shop foreman at the time. His name was Tuffy. He's a fantastic human. And he said, well, we'll figure it out. You do the computers, you do the paper. I'll take care of the text. We'll figure it out. So we got through the harvest. Man, it was a doozy. And
Gong show.
It was interesting. So
you got through it though.
We got through it. I don't know. There was a few times I probably went home in tears, and I'm not the kind of person who doesn't like knowing or not knowing what they don't know, right?
Yeah.
And so that was a stretch for me. And I remember it was post harvest. It was before Christmas. Bob comes out and he sits down and he goes, well, we need a service manager, you guys. Like, someone has to be the service manager. And the foreman at the time, he says, I don't know why you're looking at me. She's been doing the job. And I'm like, oh. And Bob looks at me. He's like, well, you think you can do it? And I'm like, I mean, I guess I can.
I have been doing it.
And so, boom, I'm the service manager.
Just like that.
Yeah, I think it was 2009.
Yeah.
I got a question. Why was your partner in that department named Tuffy?
Well, that was his nickname. That was the name that he went by. I think his actual name is Ollie, but everyone knew him as Tuffy.
It's Tuffy.
So,
any story behind that?
Yeah, no,
really?
Not that I'm aware of. Childhood name growing up, whatever the case.
We're gonna have to do some digging.
Yeah,
on that.
no, for sure. He got in a few fights and won.
Possibly, it was he rode a Harley to work and everything like that.
Okay,
even in the dead of winter,
he was amazing.
Yeah.
He was amazing, and it was definitely a sad day when he moved back out to Alberta and kind of left me hanging. But not hanging, I shouldn't say that. But I don't think I would have made it through that harvest had he not been kind of the guy, right?
Yeah.
So I joke I sort of wound up in service by accident.
Yeah.
Necessity, right?
Yeah.
First thing, Dad asked me to come back, and okay, yeah. And how do you say no to Dad, right?
No, you can't.
You know that,
as much as you try, you can actually say it to his face.
Yeah.
But by the end of the conversation, it's whatever. Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Whatever you want.
I think Yeah. So I did it, and then turned out, I kind of had a knack for it, and I figured it out, and I would be underselling it if I didn't acknowledge the fact that because the customer base knew me, they knew my family, it made it easier for them to accept me as the service manager. Not a technician by trade,
Right.
But I'm curious and I absorb information. And so I'm reading repair stories and I'm saying, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. And I'm looking at manuals and I'm asking the technicians way too many questions some days, like, why would this break? Tell me why that is the case. And so over time it worked out. And so then in 2012, I'd turned 30 and I was like, oh man, I'm in my hometown.
Yeah.
Like,
Hartney, Manitoba. Population really quick?
I think it's about 452 or something.
452,
like that right
yeah.
now.
If you went through it, you'd think it'd be like 58 though.
Oh yeah, very small.
Yeah.
I said, I haven't experienced anything else.
Yeah.
My sister, who is my best friend, she's a year and a half younger than me, was living in Calgary at the time. And she's like, you got to come out here, come out here. And so I handed in my resignation to Adam McKenzie, who was the service operations manager. And he was devastated, wouldn't even talk to me, wouldn't look me in the eye.
He was mad.
He was like, I've seen Adam mad, but he was emotionally
really?
This is not great. And it was
broke his heart, Trisha.
Yeah, I probably did a little bit. And so I remember on my last day, Bob came out again.
Oh boy.
And he said, Trisha, I get it. I got sons your age. You got to figure it out. But if you come back to Manitoba, you phone me first. So I went out there. I'd got a job with Cargill, wonderful company to work for. They, great values, great organization. But I was driving between Calgary and Blackie one day, and I said, something's just not right.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I live in a city and I'm alone amongst millions of people.
Yeah.
Right. Like
just couldn't get settled. Hey,
I just couldn't get settled, and so I pulled over on the side of the highway, pull out my phone.
Did you call Bob?
Sent Bob an email.
Oh,
said,
okay, yeah.
Bob, I've been thinking about it, and I don't think this is where I need to be. I think I may come back to Manitoba. And it wasn't 5 minutes, and he was phoning me.
Really?
Yeah. And he said,
and how long were you in that position in Calgary?
So I went in May, and this was in September.
Okay,
so it wasn't very long.
No.
And I knew, and there were some other things happening.
Sure.
Kind of with some of the regional things at Cargill, and I could see some writing on the wall on a few different people that were going to be changing positions, and a couple of them said, what are you doing here? You should be doing something different. And so not a knock on them, like wonderful organization, but yeah, Bob called me. He said, Trisha, when do you think you're gonna be home? I'm like, well, like Thanksgiving's coming up. It was maybe gonna come out. He goes, Kate, come see me. Let's figure something out. And I'm like, I could probably just fly home. Like I could fly home next weekend if you want. We can meet. He said, sure, I'll see you. So called my dad. I said, you'll never guess what happened. And he was, relieved and excited. So he picked me up at the airport, and we came, and I went in. It was a Saturday, and I went in and I met Bob and Adam. Adam's not mad at me anymore.
No, he's happy.
Very happy.
Glow on his face.
But I told my sister before I left Calgary, I said, okay, so here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go back, and Bob's going to say, Trisha, I want you in Brandon. I want you to help work with the service departments. And I want you to be responsible for these things, and kind of rattle off 3.
Yeah.
And I even told my sister, I'm pretty sure I know, like even to the penny, how much my starting salary was going to be.
Oh, so you
I had a plan.
You knew it was
I was
happening.
pretty sure.
Yeah.
So I get to Brandon, meet with Bob, and he's like, "Okay, well, here's what I'm thinking." And I said, "Oh, I had some notes that I'd made on the airplane," and he goes, "Okay, well, I guess you know what we need to do." He said, "The only thing left is the salary.
Yeah.
Here's what it is." And I laughed, and I didn't mean to, but I laughed.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Well, is there something funny about that?" And I said, like I literally wrote right here, this is what Bob's going to offer me.
No way, it's the exact same?
Yeah. And he looks at me and he goes, well, then I guess I'll see you at work.
Nothing else to talk about.
Gets up, shakes my hand, walks out.
No way.
Like, okay, I guess this is happening.
Just like that.
Yeah.
And so, sorry to interrupt you, but like time frame, like from that conversation to back at work in Mazergroup.
3 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just quick turnaround.
Yeah, 3 weeks. Because that was towards the end of September. Luckily, the apartment that I was in, the people let me out of it was a friend of a friend kind of thing. So they're like, yeah, no problem. We can re-rent it. I was home, and I started on October 14th in Brandon. And that was the one stipulation. You got to be in Brandon.
Yeah.
So it took me a couple months to find a house.
Yeah.
And I found a house and moved in. And so that was 2012, and I've been in Brandon ever since.
That's crazy. So that kind of was right then. I mean, like that was right up your alley in the fact that you didn't have to go back to Hartney.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to get out of Hartney, correct? Yeah. So Brandon's a nice little transition. Like, I mean, it's a nice size, 5 minutes to get anywhere, but it's still got options, a few more than Hartney does at 484 people or whatever it is, or like 45,000 or 50,000, whatever Brandon is. So, well, that is freaking awesome. So was it the same title as Adams? Was it manager of service operations?
So I was the assistant manager of service operations. Yep. So then at that time, I believe we had 15 stores.
Yep.
And so really I was helping Adam all things service related. So I really only dealt with the service departments. I was going out. Adam was a very black and white person, which I loved about him.
Yep.
I understood how he could operate.
Yep. And
so I could help find the gray areas.
Yep.
And
that didn't exist to him.
It didn't necessarily exist all of the time.
Yeah.
He tried really hard. And but people would call and say, okay, look, this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
How can I make sure that I present it in a way that I don't get a no right away?
Yeah.
And so that was part of,
So you were the buffer
a little
between
bit.
Employee and...
Yeah, a little bit.
Or whoever it was that
needed
to talk to him.
And I don't think that's necessarily super uncommon.
No, absolutely not.
Right?
No, yeah. Like it was great that kind of lended that position, lended itself, or that part of the position lended itself to you. Yeah.
So there were lots of things, you know, from a reporting standpoint that I helped on, some consistency stuff and like policies and procedures, new employees and getting them onboarded and helping train. And so it really allowed me to get out and see all of the other dealerships and kind of forge those relationships at all of those stores and really understand the service business more. But then also how we interact with our manufacturers and our suppliers more, and really work on those relationships too. Yeah. So it was a really good opportunity.
Yeah. And it's perfect for like the job that you came back to. Yeah. Because I mean, it was perfect time in your life. Again, you got to move to Brandon. So you said that was 2012?
2012.
And a few structural changes up until now. I guess we got 12 years to cover, but, Adam, I guess, would have retired.
He did.
Shortly after that. Yeah. And then you were promoted to manager of service operations, correct?
Yes. I was.
Yeah. And then I mean, you don't have to say exact dates, but I mean, like a couple years with that. And then we went through another structural change where you took on parts.
Yes.
Were you excited about that?
You know, I was, because I'm a curious person and I like to understand how things work, right? Yeah. And so it seemed like a natural fit. Obviously, when we restructured to have parts and service working closer together, that made a whole bunch of sense. Yes. And being somebody who understands the background of like the business systems that we're operating in, being able to find more information about, okay, how does the inventory work? You know, if you move this here and here, how does that impact things like our financial statements and whatever? So I know a lot of things, and I have kind of been the de facto go-to of, okay, well, we want to do this, but how do we have to do it to make everything work?
You know, a thing or two about a thing or two.
Yeah.
And I can definitely back you up on the go-to person, because I've sent you a few of those emails. Like, here's the situation. This is where we need to get to. This is where we are. Trisha, your thoughts? And it was usually roadway? It was usually always an answer, which is fantastic. Yeah. So,
what a good way to get information is, or ask a favor is, hey, why don't you just give me your thoughts?
Yeah. Trisha, your thoughts.
And then all of a sudden she's copied on an email about her thoughts from John Mazer. So, hey guys, I've been thinking.
Yeah. I've been thinking, ... read below.
Yeah, exactly.
Might have happened once or twice.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh, it's good stuff. Yeah. Right on. So, and it's amazing, just going back to what you said about taking on the parts. It's crazy. Like, I mean, anybody in the industry knows this, but for listeners that don't, how service and parts really go hand in hand. Because I mean, like, you know, on the service side of things, we're fixing, we're repairing, that sort of thing. But I mean, all that takes parts, right? So, absolutely. I mean, if you've got that under one umbrella, a lot easier to manage. A lot easier to get the continuity between those two departments, I guess, unobstructed, if you will. So it's exciting stuff.
It is. It's really rewarding to be able to have a new challenge and then figure out how you're going to kind of succeed at making that challenge not so much of a challenge anymore.
That's right. Yeah.
And my approach is very different. And how we do that than, you know, some of my predecessors. I'm a people person, right? And so to a fault sometimes, I'll go to a store and they'll say, hey, well, how do we do this? And I will get right into the weeds. With, this is how you do this. And here are all of the reasons why. And did you know this will make your life easier? Because that part of training everybody is really kind of where that's my passion part of this job.
So would that be your favorite part of the job?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a lifer, right?
Oh yeah. We wouldn't let you go anywhere else.
Well, I mean, Bob made that pretty clear too, right? Yeah. But the most exciting part about my role isn't the parts. It isn't the service. You know, it isn't like the day to day. It's the people. It's the people that we go out and recruit. And I've had some awesome opportunities to be a part of that. It's how we train them. It's how we keep them. It's how we make them feel like it's their family business, just like it is yours and mine. And, you know, we would be nothing without our staff, and we have some phenomenal staff.
So good.
Yeah.
Like great people in this company.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, experienced it firsthand when I came out here, like just the wonderful group of people in this building right here, and like managed to retain like 98% of them, a few retirements here, that sort of thing. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. I love the people that work for us and work with us. It's just, that's a very rewarding part for me.
So rewarding.
Yeah. Is to show up and see everybody every day.
It's kind of cool when you go through the interview process because I've been involved in all of service and a lot of parts. I've got to be a part of interviewing a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you ask them, what do you look for in an employer? And then the part where they say, well, tell us a little bit more about Mazergroup. Like I could go on and on and on about all of the reasons why I think it's a great place to work.
Yeah.
And we deal with some of the best producers that there are, right?
Yeah. Best in the world, if you ask me.
Yeah. And I think that anytime you have somebody who speaks that passionately about where they work, it just makes you want to be part of it.
Of course, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I love when I get to go out with Courtney and Karen and their team and, go to recruiting events and things like that and talk about all the different positions. And I can see the path, because I started in the office and I moved through, right? And so like I've lived it, I've breathed it. And I think that is the coolest part of the job.
Yeah. Well, you went on a very interesting trip here. It was a couple months ago, I think, but Poland, correct?
Yeah, I did get to go to Poland.
Yeah. So that was a first for Mazergroup and going to a recruiting event such as that. But give us a quick 5 minutes on that and what it was and what happened.
Yeah. So the government of Saskatchewan, they were putting on a recruiting fair in Warsaw. And obviously they wanted it to be as successful as possible, but they were looking for people who would be pre-approved for, rapid immigration into Canada and into Saskatchewan specifically. And so we had, as an employer, had to do a whole bunch of legwork at the front to make sure that we were approved for different work permits and things like that. But then a team of us went to Poland. So it was Karen McDonald, Courtney Matienzo, who is our talent acquisition specialist.
Yep.
Alex
Hussein.
who's been on an episode already.
Yeah.
And myself, I got to go too.
Yeah.
So we went over there and we met with a whole bunch of different candidates, got to interview them with the hopes of being able to recruit them and bring them back to Saskatchewan to be part of Mazergroup. And so far to date, we do have one candidate who arrived back at the start of December and is here in Regina at our branch working. I went out and gave him a fist bump and
Alex,
how's it going today? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really exciting. And we're hoping this spring coming up that we'll have a second one coming as well. And, being able to go across and talk about Mazergroup and
tell the
wonderful
story.
jobs in agriculture.
Yeah.
Actually, it was my second time being able to go abroad.
Really?
For recruiting. Yeah. So, oh man, this was ages ago. I actually did get to go to Ireland as well. And
no way.
That one didn't work out as well for us. I did. The places that I've been able to go and experience through Mazergroup has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
And being able to, attend different conferences and
go
recruiting and things like that. I've been pretty fortunate to be able to go.
Nice. Yeah. Alex, I remember him getting here. We had a little kind of a pizza lunch or whatever. He's originally from Ukraine and they immigrated to Poland when, unfortunately the war started. And then, they met up with our great team in Poland or in Warsaw, Warsaw, Poland. And I had a little lunch for him here. His wife came, his kid came. So Kevin and I immediately had to shower this kid with toys. So
nice.
He didn't think he was getting anything. And it was funny. He was walking around and I could see him eyeing up the biggest toy we got. And
the truck?
Yeah, the big truck with the plow. And he kept looking at it. And you don't want to be too I want the biggest one or whatever, but I hand signed, if you will, because he didn't speak English. He said, if you want that one, you can have that one. Right? Yeah. So he's walking out. He's just so proud.
Nice.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah. And just Alex isn't fluent in English yet, but he's working on English. Yeah. So he's there's another employee that works for us as kind of an interpreter right now, but his wife speaks English. And so he did a bit of a thank you speech, and it was it was really moving to hear. He said, thank you for the opportunity. This is life-changing for my family to come here and settle down and, that we're safe and we have a secure job. And the people around us, we just threw him a lunch. You know, I obviously probably hasn't experienced anything like that, getting a new job, right? So it's awesome to be able to do that.
He speaks Polish, English, and now farmer.
That's right. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Farmer.
Yeah, he's learning English and farmer concurrently.
Simultaneously.
Simultaneously with each other. Yeah. So, it's all amazing stuff. What? Let me get deep here. What do you think? There'd be a lot of things on this list, but if you had to pick one, what do we do best at Mazergroup?
Oh. Do you mean from like the employee side or the customer side?
Oh yeah, there's variables, isn't there? Yeah.
Because I got two. Like, there's
Jim,
two.
what do you want to hear? Sorry, producer Jay, what do you want to hear?
An example of both would be great.
Okay.
Sure.
From the internal culture side, and then also
Sure.
the service and customer side.
Yeah, I think so. If we start with the customer side, I think at the end of the day, we are known for being reasonable people that make it easy to do business with us, right? And so every time that we have a parts manager meeting, a service manager meeting, we just had our service admin meetings last week. The message is really like people like to do business with people they like.
Yep.
And so we need to be the most likable people there are out there. And that needs to be natural, right? Like you can't be forced. And so at the end of the day, you do business with people that you enjoy doing business with. And I really think that that's what sets us apart. Everyone has great machinery. I think that the colors blue and yellow are way more attractive in the field, obviously. I'm biased.
With you, 100%.
But at the end of the day, you do business where people like you. And I think that we do a really good job of making sure that people feel that we value their business and that we can be likable, right?
You couldn't have said it better. And like, that's a very tough spot to, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a very tough goal to accomplish when you're selling something too, because, the feelings and the emotions have to be genuine. Otherwise, I always say a farmer is like has the biggest bullshit radar of any people on earth, and they can see right through you. So the feelings and emotions when talking to our customers has to be genuine, and that's where you build. Is what you say is the ability to like us and want to do business with us.
And it's so hard to really identify like a differentiator, right?
Yeah.
Like those are some of the buzzwords, I guess you could say, when you talk to different consultants and things like that. What makes you different? But it's really hard to put your finger on what that is, right?
Yeah.
We actually went through an exercise. Like when you think about Mazergroup, what are the things that you think about and why people should shop with us? And so we went through the exercise and put a whole bunch of things up on the wall. Said, okay, now put yourself in the competitor's shoes. Do you think that they have X, Y, Z? And when we came down to it at the end, there was only a few things left. And one of them was like, we're likable, right? And we are in the communities that we're doing business with. And you couldn't really completely identify what that was. But I think that was an aha moment for a lot of people that said, like, forget about all of the other stuff. Like, just do business the way you'd want people to do business with you.
Yeah.
And I think that's really where we shine. So.
Big time. Yeah. Treat people how you want to be treated yourself.
Yeah. And so the second part of that was on the employee side, what do we do well? I think, and I don't want to say that we, are batting 1,000 on this all the time. There's exceptions to every rule, but I think if our goal is to make sure that we build relationships with our employees the same way, so that they feel that they can turn to you in a time where they need, to rely on you for something. They're going through some struggles or whatever.
On a personal side more like than a professional side. Yeah.
People like to work for people that they like. Right. And I think that, that's really hard to put your finger on too. And in today's world, when the employees can go find jobs in any careers that they want, there's a dealership down the street hiring too. What keeps them? Well, they like showing up to work and working with the people that they're working with and for. And so, I'm very conscious of that as a leader of people. I feel that if I build a personal relationship to a degree with all of the employees that work directly for me, that, when they're thinking about what their future looks like, they go, well, wait a second, like, I know what I have with Trisha. I know how Trisha operates. I can appreciate that. And I've had some employees leave and come back and say, what do you think? Is this something that, am I welcome back? I'm like, hey, absolutely. Yeah. Because if you build that relationship, I do think that it makes it easier to show up to work every day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And conversely, harder to leave.
Right.
Because I mean, it's one thing to just leave a job, but if there's options presented to one of our employees to go to a different dealership, it's not just leaving a job, it's leaving your mentor, leaving your leader, your friend.
Yeah.
Now, the relationship that you've built with everybody around you, the relationship that you can go to your superior and talk about something personal, even if it's not professional problems or whatever. The essence of a family, if you will.
Yeah. Family.
Tough to leave that.
Absolutely.
Tough to leave that. Well said.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds cheesy too, right? Like everyone says,
Yeah.
hey, we're a family here.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's kind of the bonds that you grow and the bonds that you
Absolutely.
hope to have. So,
yeah. And fits right in with our family owned and operated family business. Family business. Yeah.
And we have a lot of employees who have family members at our stores, right?
Oh, yeah.
You think you're in Regina. We definitely have people related to each other. In Raymore, we've got brothers working side by side.
Yeah.
And that goes all the way around the horn.
Yeah.
So we have second generation employees at most of our stores, which is really cool.
Third generation.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Hopefully that goes well. Fourth generation's coming down the pipe. Well, out of the pipe, I guess you could say, growing, if you will. Yeah.
Future CEOs.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Just got to put my head down and keep working. And hopefully everybody accepts me. So what excites you about the future in the industry?
Oh, man. So much. I think that technology continues to
that's a huge one,
challenge the way that we do business every day. And so we're constantly having to pivot processes and things like that and go, okay, well, that worked yesterday. But that might not work tomorrow. And so how do we adapt and prepare for that? Being open to change is something that not everyone is great at. And so that's something that from a change management standpoint on our leaders is preparing people to understand, this is how we do it today. It doesn't mean that that's how we're going to do it forever.
That's right, man.
And so, that's part of it. I think the landscape of dealerships is changing all of the time in the way that service is delivered. At one point, everyone thought, hey, you're going to need less bricks and mortar and more just like satellite people out there. Yeah. That might be true for some operations and some applications. We've dabbled a little bit in that and tried it.
Yeah.
But you lose that human connection piece. And so
Totally.
I think we're ever going to be able to be an Amazon type of an industry? No, I don't.
No.
People still like to come in and get the free coffee and the bullshit at the counter, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And hey, that's what we kind of are here and we live for too. But I think that the way that we interact with our manufacturers is continuing to evolve.
Yeah.
And seeing them as partners as opposed to sometimes adversaries, even if they don't always kind of understand what we're trying to do and vice versa. And so managing those relationships is going to continue to be a challenge for us as we move forward and try and kind of seize the world, if you will.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good stuff. So much has changed in the 18 years that I've been part of Mazergroup, which is crazy to think it's been 18 years.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's good though.
There's been, new dealerships added. We had to close a dealership, which was hard, but, for the right reasons. And I truly believe that, change is inevitable and we should embrace it. And so I always, in all of the decisions I make now, I'm always good. Well, how do I set this up so that when change happens, not if change happens, but when change happens, that we're future-proofing ourselves a little bit for what that looks like. So, the future is cool and it's
exciting.
Coming. And there's little farmers out there who are ready to give it a whirl and are so excited. So
and like we talked about this on the previous episode with Janelle Delage, but like farming's cool.
Farming is cool. I think
It's-
she
it's
said
like-
farming's sexy.
Farm is sexy.
And
I said
agree.
sexy. Yeah.
And I agree.
Yeah.
It is cool. Like my sister's got a little guy. He's going to be 4 in March, and he is a city kid. You know, he was born in Calgary. Now he lives in Brandon. But man, he's excited about combines.
Really?
Yeah, like
Oh, that's so
when
awesome.
we're heading out to my mom and dad's, you know, we come over the hill at the golf course and you can see the Mazergroup party in the distance, and he loses his mind every time. He just combines.
Oh,
you know.
that's awesome.
Johnny asked me for a real combine to be parked in his driveway for his birthday so that he could harvest on the way to daycare.
Come on.
Right? I'm like, you live in Brandon, but he wants a real combine.
You have to do it. You know this, right?
I don't know. Keith,
Just for the one day.
Yeah. Uncle Keith is his hero because he can go out there and Keith will get up in the cabin, just one of the, you know, combines at the shop and just give him a ride around the yard. And it's just like, it's the pinnacle of his week.
Yeah.
Right? And he actually did take him combining with one of our customers in Hartney last year.
Oh, nice.
He fell asleep immediately, right? But he still talks about it.
Of course, yeah.
Right. And so, you know, we have kids who are not country kids who are excited about farming. So farming's cool.
Farming is cool. Yeah. Going to touch on something that you said, you know, that we'd never become an Amazon, and I wholeheartedly agree with that, Trisha. One of a previous shareholder, remember Nick Logan?
Yep.
Very, very smart and brilliant man, very successful man. You know, he always pushed the online presence and being ready to do e-commerce and that sort of thing, because he I think truly believed that there would be a day where we sold combines online. And I don't believe that it will ever come.
No.
And this is just, you know, adding on to your bricks and mortar comment that, I mean, we will always be around. Like, there will always be bricks and mortar dealerships. What locations is always maybe
how many
locations is always up in the air, you know. A lot easier to as customer operations grow, perhaps the smaller town dealerships, maybe like, and then nothing at this very moment for our listeners. So I'm not trying to scare anybody, but like, I mean, maybe the need for the amount of dealerships we have isn't needed, you know, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, but there will always be, and will always need to be, a human aspect in it for sales, for parts, for service. You want to go online and buy a toy, whatever. Yeah, you do your thing there. But like when it comes to these $1 million pieces of machinery that are feeding the world, like, it takes the human aspect to look after that, to service, to sell.
Absolutely it does.
Yeah.
To your point, the size of the location may change, the amount that we have may change.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we still need a dealership that you can take apart a combine in.
Yeah.
And, you know, do business. Driving in the lot here today, I said to one of the guys, how many combines do you think are in the yard? And they're like, oh, I'm not sure. I'm like, it's kind of like that gumball game, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
guess how many gumballs are in the jar and you win a prize. And, and man, it's really cool to see. It's a little scary to see at this time of year. I'm cool with it. But
the service side. Yeah. Cause I mean, they're all here. If they're not out front, they're out back. And if they're out back, they've either got, you know, winter checks to do, or
that's right.
So that's what's going through your mind when you see them. What were the guesses?
Oh man. I think Andrew said there's got to be 60. And I went, well, I think we'd be surprised.
Hey, you will be surprised.
There's probably more than that in this yard right now. And so
I can't remember what it was. Sorry to interrupt you, but I think it was it maybe last, I think it would have been June, July, somewhere around there. Cause they weren't in the homes yet. Like, I mean, we trucked some out, but like whatever month it was, there was a lot, and we counted 82.
Which is wild.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Like crazy. Like, this 82 combines on one lot, you know? But I mean, you know, in Saskatchewan, Jordan told me one time the amount of farmable acres in Saskatchewan, it's something like 22 million, I think. Like, I mean, that's a lot of crop to take off. Producer Jay is going to look it up for me here. Farmable acres in Saskatchewan. What do you think?
Ooh.
I already gave a number, so it's kind of hard to guess, but like, I mean, so that's a lot of acres.
It's a lot. I mean, it's significantly more in Manitoba.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So, farms in the province accounted for the biggest share of Canada's total farm area. 39.2% of Canada's farm areas
is Saskatchewan.
In 2021, farms in Saskatchewan reported 60.3 million acres of total farm area.
You're not even close.
Not even, I guess a third of it. 60 million farmable acres.
Correct.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of acres.
Oh, it's the future.
It is. Well, I mean,
it's the now and the future.
everybody's got to eat. Like,
Everybody's gotta eat.
we got to feed the world. Like, and I mean, and the thing about it is we're not making more land.
Nope.
I mean, you can plow down a bush or, fill in a low spot or whatever and get that workable. But I mean, like, anything that we can get producing, we've pretty much got producing now.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
I love driving down the highway right before harvest, especially flax fields. They're so cool to me,
purple,
right? Like
yeah.
the color and everything. But there's, and I'm not even out there combining, right? I'm not out there fixing the equipment, but seeing those combines going in the field every fall is just the coolest thing.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Like you could just park and just watch. It's the coolest thing.
It's so awesome. And like, you can get to, there's areas in Saskatchewan, probably find one in Manitoba, but like being as flat as we are, like, I mean, if you get on the side of kind of like a very steady sloping terrain, like you can see that little pocket of dust like miles away. Yeah. And you know what that is, Yeah. It's somebody feeding the world.
The funny thing, this reminds me of something from my childhood growing up, and I gotta say it because I laugh about it to this day still. So I always swore I would never work at the dealership, right?
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid, we would hop in the van and we would go to my grandparents on the weekend. And my brother, who loves equipment, working there since he was 12, he and my dad would be looking out in the field and be like, oh yeah, like, look at that 8770, yada, yada, yada. And my sister and I would just laugh and we'd start like just bullshit making up models of things in that, right? And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about, right? Like, look at that ABCDE 192, whatever. Yeah. And so fast forward, now I'm learning how to speak farmer, right?
Pretty much there.
I'm pretty much there. And so we're on a road trip, and it was probably one of the first ones that we'd gone any distance with my sister and her now husband. He grew up in Thompson, Manitoba, so not farming community.
No.
And Keith and I, we're looking out, we're like, oh yeah, check out, this CR 9.90 or whatever. And he just starts laughing. And he's like, what are you guys talking about? And I went, oh my God, I've turned into my dad. This is amazing, right? But like, I just had a new appreciation for it. And so, he tried his best, and we're on another road trip, and he starts laughing to himself, and he looks out and he points out in the field. He's like, hey, Trisha, look at that Z73. I'm like, don't even try, man.
Yeah, you're not gonna. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Fernando, this is not gonna work for you, right?
Oh, that's hilarious. I've turned into my dad.
Right? But like just looking out into the field. And, farming's cool.
Yeah, it is.
And my dad was in the right place at the right time. And
we didn't know how cool our parents were.
No,
back
we
in
had
young
no
age.
idea.
Yeah, they were pretty awesome. Before we get to some lighter stuff with Jay, I have to ask the question, because you've said it a couple times. Why were you so adamant on not working for the dealership? At a young age?
Great question. So when I was in high school, agriculture was not talked about as a career.
Yeah.
You talk to the career counselors if you had one, and they said, go to university, get a degree, be a doctor, be a lawyer, be a pharmacist, be an accountant, whatever the case was. Yeah. And so in my mind, I thought that was the right thing to do. And growing up, I saw how much time and energy that my dad, my brother were putting into it. And I said, I just don't know if that's for me. I think that there's probably something bigger and better out there, right? Like, I'm supposed to be a pharmacist. I'm supposed to be an accountant, whatever.
Yeah.
And what a shame. Yeah. Right. And so I'm so happy now that the tides have turned, and they're talking about trades, and they're talking about agriculture. And I'm looking at the kids coming out of high school, and I'm telling them, go get a trade.
Yeah.
You're going to come out of school basically debt free.
Yep.
You're going to have a fantastic career that people are like, it's in high demand.
Yep.
And you're going to make a ton of money.
Yeah.
And you know who's not making a ton of money? The arts majors at a university, right? Yeah. They're not.
No, you're exactly right. Yeah.
And so I went to University of Manitoba. Great experience. I loved every second of it. I lived in residence for 2 years. which was basically filled with kids from small agricultural communities. My dad knew more people on the day we're moving into residence than I did. It was like, oh, hey, Ron. I'm like, who's Ron? Oh, yeah, he's got his combine in, right?
Yeah.
And so I think had I known at the time, would I have changed the course of what I did? I don't think so. But every decision I made along the way, and, you know, everything works out for a reason. And the experience I got and the education I got, marketing and human resource major, it definitely prepared me for the career that I have in agriculture today. And, you know, I always said, I'm never going to live in Brandon. Well, guess what? I live in Brandon. I'm never going to go to work at Mazergroup. Well, I work at Mazergroup, right?
The two things, I swear I'm not going to work at the dealership, and I swear I'm not going to move to Brandon to this day. And she's just, she's very happy working at Mazergroup and living in Brandon. And I love it, right? That's awesome.
I love it. Yeah, it's awesome. So I think that, I think more career counselors and more high school teachers should be telling kids about agriculture.
Yeah. Absolutely. 100% agree. Jay?
Hey.
You want to do some fun stuff?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool.
That's great. I actually agree with all your sentiments on the career choice. I wish I knew more about it when I was coming up.
Awesome. Well, it's just not, and you're exactly right. We're getting there. Like, I mean, again, you know, I'd revert back to the Janelle Delage episode, but I think it was that episode where we talked about like possible like high school classes, like GPS heists or, you know, telematics, that sort of thing. But I mean, this is just going to show that, yes, I mean, there is very predominant careers in agriculture available to everyone, just as there is, you can be a plumber, just as you can be a, you know, any trade, any career that you want, agriculture's there too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So Trisha,
yes,
you're from Hartney, Manitoba. You've already identified the population. Can you give it to me one more time what you think the population of Hartney, Manitoba is?
I think I said 452 if we were to roll back the tape.
I love how it goes to like a singular number. Like,
right?
Brandon's 45,000, but I mean like this.
Listen, if those two people aren't home.
No, that's right.
In 2016, 462. In 2021, 499.
Wow, look at that.
Oh, about to break 500.
Oh boy, it's a big day.
It's a big day.
That will be a big day.
Yeah.
Not necessarily going to like a critical mass, like, oh, finally we can open a Costco there, you know?
Yeah, exactly. IKEA and Hartney. Okay, do you know approximately what year it was established?
Ooh.
Could you give me the decade, potentially?
I want to say the 1890s, but I might be wrong.
So close, 1882.
82?
But I'm so impressed with that I'm giving you that.
Yeah,
because
that's a win.
That's 8 years off.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know of any famous movies that were filmed there?
Yes. In fact, I got to be an extra in one of them.
No way. In one of them. So there's multiple?
Yeah, there was two. They were kind of within 1 year of each other. So one was The Lookout with Jeff Daniels and Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
100%.
Which is really cool because like they were right in town, right? Yeah. We got to meet them. What's her name? The lady that played Miss Swan on Mad TV.
Oh my goodness.
Ellen Burstyn?
No. Oh. And then if you watch The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, she's like the manager of her.
Oh, I don't know.
She's so funny. Anyway, she was there. And everyone was like super pumped about her because Mad TV was still kind of popular at the time.
Yeah.
And there was a business in town who had made Hartney, Manitoba t-shirts like with The Lookout on them. And she bought swag from she's like, this is amazing. I'm taking it home. You know, like I'm going to LA. I'm taking these t-shirts and these hats. So it was really cool. Yeah. We got to meet the casting crew. And the first day on set, they would drive from their trailers to like the set location. And then they realized, wait, we're in Hartney and no one cares. So they would just walk all over the place after
Oh, no
that.
way.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, it was so awesome. And then the other one was the Stone Angel.
Yeah, that's the one with, Ellen Burstyn is her name.
Yeah, there was only a few scenes shot there. But yeah, the Lookout was there for quite a while, which was pretty cool.
Crazy. Nice. No, I haven't seen either of them. They good movies?
I don't know.
They're okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch The Lookout now, though. I like those two actors.
Nice. Tell me how it is.
Okay. Now we're gonna test your Manitoba town knowledge. So I'm going to give you 4 letters or 1 letter at a time, and you just have to tell me city, town, or community in Manitoba that starts with that letter.
Sure.
This one's so easy. B.
Brandon.
What if you could? Yeah.
Beausejour, Bois of Ain.
Okay,
there's
there
a
we
bunch.
go.
Yeah, I was going to say
Okay.
Brandon doesn't count,
Yeah.
but doesn't matter.
Next is M.
Manitou,
So yeah, that's what first came to mind here.
Mafeking. I don't know.
Mafeking?
Mafeking. I don't know if I'm saying it right.
Oh my
Yeah,
God!
but it's up north near Swan River somewhere.
Yeah, I've never
Yeah.
heard. Never
Okay,
heard.
Yeah, there's a few.
You're going to ace this.
Minnedosa.
Minnedosa. There's a good one. Yeah.
See, I know Minnedosa because
There
of
you
the
go.
big concert that they
That's
throw,
right. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
right,
yeah.
yeah.
There was classic rock, then it was Rock in the Valley, and it's something
I
still.
think it's
in
Rock in the Fields.
Rock
now.
in the Fields
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice. Next is F.
Fairfax.
Fox Warren.
Fox Warren. Yeah.
There we go.
Is it a warren of foxes? Like is that how you pronounce like a, or is it a herd or
Like a tribe of
Yeah,
foxes?
yeah. You don't have to
Not
look it
sure.
up. I'm just wondering how it got its name. Warren of Fox and whatever. Fox Warren's one. F. Keep her going.
Maybe there was a good-looking man that was a fox.
Named
Name
Warren.
Warren.
Very possible.
Yeah.
Very possible.
How about S?
Souris. That's where I was born.
Strathclair.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. there you go.
Steinbach.
Steinbach.
Swan River.
Shoal Lake. We have lots.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you guys aced that. Okay, so now I have one last question. And I think this might be relevant to what I've kind of learned about you in the last hour here. Would you rather have the power to instantly learn any skill or instantly forget any painful memory?
Instantly learn any skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, we've just,
Oh yeah.
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 I think painful memories are part of, the fiber of who you are.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
Like, I was just watching the playback of my brother on this and thinking about me driving the golf cart between Dale Shepherd and a crowd of about 300 people, like at full blast at the release. It was a big function we had on the grounds of the
Yes.
dealership in Brandon, and it was a product release. Very important day, night, whatever. There's a crowd of about 250 people there. There is a stage where Dale Shepherd is doing a speech. There is a perfect amount of space for me to drive a golf cart through the people and Dale, and I did that. And so that I'm just thinking, like, what would I want to be erased? But like, that's one of those memories that kind of give me a cringe. But it's also very funny. Like, you idiot, John.
So, okay. So follow up to that question though is what would the skill be if you had the choice to learn any skill instantly?
Any skill. I would. God, that's a good question. Because like my knee jerk was I want to know everything there is to know about computers, like how they work, coding, all that kind of stuff. Because like I think you could take that knowledge and then put it towards stuff like day trading.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of thing, because at the end of the day, I'd want to learn a skill that I could very easily make a lot of money very easily, just for fun,
Yeah, no, I'm thinking of like superpowers. What superpower? But a skill has to be something reasonable. Like it has to be something that exists. Like I don't want to be able to read people's minds. That's not a skill, right?
No.
Might be subtly, but mine would be something about parenting. I struggle with a lot of decisions with kids.
Yeah.
And the anxiety around how they're going to grow up. So I would probably, this might sound cheesy, but I would probably want the skill of just being the best parent the world has ever seen. Whatever that looks like. Whatever that looks like.
That's very insightful. Like I didn't expect that, but I mean, it'd be no one would ever master that. Even if you learned every skill known to man, I think still make bad decisions.
Oh, that's it.
Like last night, for example, I walk in, Jackson's staying with us, my stepson, Logan's son, and I was like, should I do a Sev run right now? And Jack's like, fucking right, you should. Yeah, he didn't say fucking, but I mean, like, he's like, absolutely. And Logan's, I mean, the responsible parent's like, no, you don't need any sugar before bed, that makes complete sense anyway. So I end up going, not going to get Jax anything. Logs calls me up and says, look, Jax is PMSing, get him a little bit of a little chocolate, something like that. So I had him a chocolate. One of the things he wanted was sour Skittles. So I brought him a chocolate and this massive bag of sour Skittles. And I ran into his room and was like, do not tell your mom that I got you this. So he puts in the bed. She goes in to say goodnight, puts her hand down and puts her hand right on the fucking Skittles. I just got sewered so bad. And she looked at like it was hilarious, but like, again, the person with the perfect parenting skills would know not to buy the Skittles, but I bought the Skittles, yeah.
Mine would be to be fluent in any language.
I thought about that
at
too.
any point in time,
yeah.
Right? On the weekend, I was playing around with my niece and we were killing time waiting for something. And so I pulled out Duolingo and she started with the French. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do the Spanish one. And I'm addicted now. Like I'm going to have the streak,
yeah,
and I am going to learn Spanish. But I would love to be fluent in any language, like at the drop of a hat. I think that would be the coolest.
That would be really
It'd
cool.
be a superpower, right?
Yeah.
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 That would be mine.
Do you want to consider that a superpower, or do we want to get into really quickly before we say goodbye what our superpower would be? Who wants to go first?
You want to, so I think you should go first. Yeah.
I'd need to be able to fly. Yeah. I just want to
Really?
fly. I want to fly. Can you just imagine that? I mean, it's not that cool, but like, no,
Yeah.
it is fucking cool.
It is cool.
Be able to fly. Like, yeah.
So to follow up on that,
Yeah.
I think teleportation would be amazing. It's pretty funny. I've been asking Chris for a teleportation device in my performance.
He hasn't
review
got you that, eh?
No, and I can't figure out why.
Do you put it in the budget every
Right?
year?
Yeah, I'm like, even maybe just a standby helicopter to get me from point A to point B. Right. So
Everyone needs one of those,
teleportation,
yeah.
I think, would be the coolest superpower.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine would be something around a combination of reading people's minds and always knowing the truth. So I think if I could read what authentically is going on in people's minds, I would always know what is true in any moment. Therefore, I could navigate those situations and I could influence people in the best way, in the way that affects them.
Yeah, and so I think they made movies about that. What women want, what men want.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You should probably check that out because I'm pretty sure they wished it away at some
Oh,
point.
really?
Yeah, they're like, turn it, because it was so much noise all the time. So,
But just
anyway.
imagine like if you hear them saying like, oh, Jim's so annoying.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now I just know that's the truth and I don't need to spend time trying to make you happy.
Sure.
Because you don't like me. And people don't say that. They just don't say that. So
no.
And then you go over and you overhear someone else as you walk by say, "Man, I really like Jim. I really like Jim. I wish he'd talk to me more."
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Now I know someone that values me before. Like the truth is just there. And we live in a world where I don't even know what's true anymore. I don't even know where to find the truth.
Yeah.
So I want to know, good or bad, the truth.
Yeah. So you would be figuring out who likes you, who doesn't like you. You'd be his interpreter, and I'd just be up flying around somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
like this. I like
Perfect.
it.
It's a dream team right there.
It is a dream team.
Yeah.
Trisha, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Will you come back?
Absolutely.
Okay, we haven't done a multi-person episode yet, but I think, like all three of the directors at some point.
Sure.
Maybe we get some conversation going, or we get Chris in here too, and we grill him on a bunch of stuff. We could do that as well.
Put him under the spotlight.
Yeah.
Get some warm lights here. Or something.
That's right. Exactly. Make him sweat a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks again for coming on.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.